I'm here with none other than Tom Light, CEO and founder, the brains behind First, best in sports. The multi-award winning First had us come to their offices today in Bulgaria, Sofia. Thank you very much for welcoming me and for giving me time out of your very busy schedule, Tom.
Amazing. Thank you for coming.
My absolute pleasure, and thanks for the invite. Tom, to make this interview successful, because I know you've been interviewed a few times recently, you've shared a lot about First, but I would like to bring to the audience 7 topics that will best highlight why First is at the stage there are. Okay, so I would like to talk about the vision, the disruption, technology and product edge, the market and the competition, leadership and culture, emerging markets, art, creativity, and the human side to First, and last but not least, the unfiltered, the CEO to CEO discussion. Tom, I'd like to jump right in and start with my very first question for you. Well, First, as we know, went from zero to becoming the fastest growing sportsbook engine in the world. What core philosophy made all of this possible?
So it's all about product. We made sure that our KPIs are non-negotiable. We're not driven by, certain IDs or hierarchy managers deciding what to do. We're driven by data. When we're talking about data, there's a lot of vanities of KPIs, but we're looking mainly at revenue of our operators. So we see on the long term, not on the short term, what increase the revenue for our operators, and we focus there. We let the data make our decisions instead of hunches. We're probably the most experienced sports betting individuals in the industry. We were here when there was no live betting, when there was a few live betting matches a week, then a few a day. Then we've invented back in SBTech a lot of these markets. We've invented fast markets. We've invented a lot of things, but we don't let this philosophy kind of overshadow the fact that we still cannot trust just hunches, but we need to let data drive our decisions. And we're not falling to the easy trap of saying, oh, I'm so experienced, I know everything, let's just do what I feel like doing. We're constantly looking at the KPIs, zero tolerance to anything else, and letting our KPIs make our decisions. And one of the things that we're doing is we treat every one of our operators like a tier 1 operator, which I think is one of the reasons that we're able to kind of help our operators grow to become so big.
Fantastic. Well, that's the recipe to becoming a multi-award winner in just under a year. Tom, that's fantastic. Now, you spoke about tier 1 just now. You actually speak a lot about tier 1, thinking of for every operator. Now, what does that actually mean in practice, Tom?
So essentially, you would see the industry today. You would look at the biggest B2C operators. So you have the likes of Betano, 365, 1xBet, Powerhouse, FanDuel, DraftKings, Pinnacle, Novibet, some of the big B2C guys. And you'll see that across the board, they're using B2B suppliers, right? So they'll use Evolution and Playtech and Pragmatic for live dealer. They'll use for slots, whatever, the same Hacksaw, Pragmatic, PG, etc. They'll use for CRM systems, Fast Track, Optimove, Smarticle. They'll use, platforms, payment solutions, Nuvei, whatever. They'll use in every single division, they'll use a B2B provider. Why? It makes sense. You're not gonna build a gym just for yourself, right? It makes sense, the economy of scale. But then on Sportsbook, on Sportsbook, the top ones are using their own in-house Sportsbook, which is mad. How come in every single division in gaming, in iGaming, in betting, they're using a B2B provider that can create one tier 1 solution because they cater to many, and then in Sportsbook, they can all rely on the B2B because the B2B suppliers are not there. Now, when you come as a small to medium-sized operator and you want to compete with Betano, for example, a great company, they do amazing things. On Live Dealer, you might have the same offering in them. They have Evolution, you have Evolution. On slots, they have Pragmatic, you have Pragmatic. You can kind of match. In Brazil, they have PixPay, you have PixPay. Whatever they have, you have. But then on Sportsbook, you want to use their provider, you cannot. It's their own. So you have to kind of compromise on tier 2, tier 3 B2B sports betting providers, and you can never compete with Betano. And we see it again and again. And that's kind of like the recipe for our immediate success. Is we're the only sports betting B2B supplier that gave the smaller operators, the medium operators, even the kind of like kings in their kingdom operators, the right ammo, the right tools, the right weapons to deal with the tier 1 B2Cs. So now when you're using First Sportsbook, you can compete head-to-head to Betano, to 1xBet, to Bet365, to Superbet, to all these big ones. You can compete with them head-to-head without being handicapped.
Tom, what is the single biggest mistake legacy providers made that allowed First to overtake them so fast?
So I don't know if it's single biggest, but a lot of the times what B2B providers do, just because of their size and their experience in the market, they're relying on legacy code. So they're always trying to, create patches and patches over legacy code, trying to improve it. These are companies that have been with us for a long time, which has its merits, but it also has its disadvantages, right? So they're constantly on a legacy core code. It's very hard. I've seen very small companies who are able, not just in the sports betting realm, in the iGaming realm, who are able to kind of recreate their whole code base. I think Soft2Bet have done this and recreated their whole code base from beginning. It's very costly, it's very painful for the company, but the result is very good. And the companies who are doing it are the companies that are really able to take it to the next phase. And what we're doing, we have a code, the majority of our code is 3 years old, which means that we're using the newest technology stacks, the newest technology systems out there, all the new solutions. Everything for us is all the new stuff. So we're really able to cater to a kind of like a 2026 world. So that's one of the reasons. Another mistake is that I think these providers have realized the potential in Brazil and Latin America a little bit later, and I'm separating Latin America and Brazil because for us in Europe, maybe it's the same. For them, it's separated. And we were really fast to the market. We understood that in Brazil, we can discuss it more, they bet in a different way than in Europe, and just speed of adoption and speed of adaptation. That really helps us a lot, and we see that the traditional B2Bs are very slow, very hard. We hear from operators, they give them new, even the operators, you don't need to do a lot as a provider. The operators are giving you ideas, but you have to listen to them. You have to react fast. You have to provide them with the requests.
Why is speed the biggest determinant of operator revenue today?
So speed by itself in betting is critical. Speed equals to higher betting volume, better engagement, better retention, less latency. We're talking about speed allows you to take about 20 to 40% more bets in peak traffic. We're looking at how we want to boost engagement, how we want to boost retention. We see it across many apps. We see it not just in the iGaming industry. If we're going to order food, Wolt versus Uber Eats. If we want to order a taxi, if we want to anything we want to do on an app, speed is critical. And I think for us, it was a non-negotiable thing that we have to work on scale with speed. So for us, speed is critical. Everything we do is to really improve the user experience. Our system is built for scale, for millions of bets a second, and even on peak time. So you see, there's a big policy of SLA, right? Service level agreement. They'll tell you we're 99%, 99 or 99.9% uptime. So, well, very good, 99%, I like it. And then you say, okay, this 0.1% of uptime is about 7 hours a month. How is this 7 hours a month distribute? It's not on a Monday, it's 2 hours every Saturday on the peak time. So although you have this whatever super high percentage, 99 whatever, the 7 hours of downtime that they're allowed to have by the contract is gonna be on a Saturday in European time, whatever, 4 or 5 p.m. where all the games start. So that's where you wanna be strong, on peak times.
Which innovation do you see becoming the industry standard in 2026?
I think we can divide this into multiple divisions. First of all is personalization. Personalization across the board in as far as like betting offering, certain odds boost, promotion, super odds, combo insurance, combo bonus, different types of promotions that are dedicated for and personalized for their user. The second one is, yes, gamification. You'll see across my bookshelf, we're addicted to gamification. We're obsessive with user experience and gamification, from loyalty that is sports related to challenges, to mystery boxes, to badges and awards, to different things that we do, to a gamification shop. Anything to gamify the experience. We see it across many apps. We see that in every single app that you're using, aside maybe gaming, we're gamified all the time. So we want to kind of implement that. The next part that you discussed is the Sports OS. Sports OS is essentially our way to tell the operators, you guys know your clients, you guys know what to do. We have a super strong engine of trading, risk management, sports settlement, etc. Create your own front end. Here's an operating system. So we give you a very well documented API points, and you can create your own front end based on our strong engine. So it's a little bit like, in a luxury watch, I'll sell you the movement and you can create your own design around it, right? So we deal with a lot of really creative operators that want to have the strength of our 300 live traders, of our experience, of the software, the sheer power that we've developed in the sportsbook, but they want to create their own front end. They want to create their own features. So we give them, with the Sports OS, with the sports operating system, the ability to have a well-documented API where they can create their own stuff. And then the last part is the omnichannel. Now, when we talk about omnichannel, I talk about real one account, one experience omnichannel. Means, you'll have John. John wakes up in the morning, go to the shop on the way to work, place some bets in the shop, boom, he gets some promotion on the mobile, he's at work, he's actually on the desktop, he's making some bets, he goes back to the shop, he cash out, he gets some cash from the bets on the desktop, he makes some bets on the bar, in the terminals, he goes home, he can cash out the bets that he made in the bar while watching the game at home. So it's really a really immersive experience where all your bets go with you from wherever you are, 360, same account, cross promotion, so bet on the retail, get a promotion on the online and vice versa, and kind of enhance the experience that you would feel that you will have a better experience if you'll combine the two. Because right now what we see across the majority of the markets, it's the opposite. People feel, I'm coming to the shop, I'm getting worse odds, but then online, I feel that I'm not there, it's complicated, I don't know how to get the promotions, etc. I don't have a person in front of me. So they kind of have to choose either or, where we want to have them kind of get the best of both worlds. If deposits and this is hard for you, or you need some personal help, go to the shop. If then you want to do really immediate actions when the shop is closed at 1 a.m., you want to do a cash out, you can.
So cross-pollination, basically.
Exactly.
Fantastic, fantastic. Tom, we're jumping into the market now. The market and the competition. Now, first signed dozens of operators in Brazil before regulation, and that's fantastic. How did a new company dominate this year's most competitive market on earth?
So it's all about speed and proof of concept of the product. So initially, and it happens in every single market, the local operators, they feel like they're the kings of the kingdom. They don't really look at the competitiveness of their sportsbook offering, right? Because there's no competition. And you see it in markets where they have their own taxi app before Uber comes in, right? They feel they have no competition, they control the market. Then Betano, 365, Superbet, Novibet, many others came into the market, right? Today, dominating the sports betting world. So right now, we saw in Brazil, a player would come on Monday, they would acquire a player on Monday for like $30, $40. That player would start playing casino with them. The most famous casino game in Brazil is the Tigrinho. After it, Aviator by Spribe. But then they'll play Tigrinho, they'll play Aviator until Friday. Saturday, all the games are starting. they're gonna go to Betano, play sports there. If they're winning, they're gonna keep on playing casino there. What we've done with operators that have moved to use our sportsbook, we've stopped that migration to Betano. So on a Friday, between Friday and Saturday, the player stays on the local operator, doesn't go to Betano, stays to play sports there because the offering is competitive. Now, just to put it in perspective, if you're acquiring a client, you're paying CPA, you're paying rev share, you're paying a monthly fixed fee, position fees in some of the websites, etc. And then after a few days, you lose this player to another international operator, it's catastrophical. You paid money already for this. You paid the marketing cost for this. It's catastrophical for the business. So the Brazilians were able to see that the Brazilians noticed really fast that we're able to do that we're the only sports betting B2B that is able to compete head-to-head with Betano, with 365, with all the good sportsbook out there. And that's why 42 operators out of 71 licensed operators, 42 within the last year have decided to migrate from their existing sportsbook to use first. And in Brazil now they say, if you ain't first, you're last.
Last. Like Ricky Bobby. That's amazing. What is the hard truth, Tom, about sportsbook suppliers that operators only understand too late, sadly?
Well, starting from the basic. Overpromise and underdeliver. Sales of providers, they like to promise, and then hands come to shove, no delivery, no innovation. They don't sustain under traffic, and they're counting on a true fact that migrating a sportsbook provider is painful. So they're counting on the fact that their operators, even if they're gonna, I call it abuse them, and they're gonna ignore the request, and they're gonna give them bad service, and they're gonna make them lose money because of horrific trading and risk management, they're counting on the fact that the wedding is so strong that it's so painful to move a provider so they can keep on abusing them. What we've done is we've created middlewares for these migrations, so there's not going to be a drop. Because there, historically, even if you move from the worst sports book to the best one, by default, you do a migration. Migration will always start with a drop, then you go back up, and then you start increasing. And we were really trying to decipher this drop. How do we prevent this drop from happening? So we created middlewares for the clients to kind of not feel that there was a big change. So we created front-end middlewares for every one of our competitors. So it's very easy now for operators to migrate from these abusive providers to a tier one provider who's gonna listen to them, who's gonna give them the best customer service, who's gonna do all the requests, who's gonna generate for them more revenue, and gonna be more protective versus the big operators. So I think this painful migration is what the providers were counting on for a very long time, and we're kind of changing the scene. We're making this migration smooth and easy, and that's kind of like, I don't think any company, not just in the last year, in the history of sports betting, did so many migrations as we've done in the last year. And that's because, not just because we're so good, because we were able to kind of cut the migration pain to these operators.
So first things first, speed and uniqueness are 3 points that I have carried out of this interview so far, Tom. It's really resonating, which kind of ties into the next topic right now, which is basically more of your thing now, the leadership and the culture behind First. What makes First's internal culture fundamentally different from other supplier cultures?
So I think even the way that we're structured, the hierarchy, so they'll tell you that we lead by examples. We don't have this management style that, you know, the managers are, you know, a few hours a day in the office because they're in a high position. They do less with their hands. They'll delegate to other people. Of course, we delegate, but you'll see here that the managers are working the hardest. We're coming early morning. We're leaving late at night. Me, myself, as a CEO, we're almost 600 people, and you'll still see me almost every week in the trading room in Plovdiv, sitting with the traders. You'll see me with the account managers, in calls with the operators. I want to be involved. The managers, we're the most hands-on company in the iGaming industry. simply because we need to be there. If you sit on this ivory tower and try to manage, maybe it's good and nice, but you don't get to the same result. We don't have politics. Everyone is eye level. We're a lot engineering-led and product-led rather than sales-led. So, we could have done a lot more as far as sales. We could have done different types of sales in Europe, etc. Right now, that's not interesting. We're looking to create the #1 sports betting product in the world, not just on B2B, which we've done, but also to crush all the other B2Cs. And this requires a lot of our attention and really, really, really we're focused on product. If an operator wanna kind of join this train, it's fine. If not, we're not gonna do any hard sell on it.
Organic approach, basically. Tom.
Yeah, or organic approach, and not only this, we have this kind of like ownership mindset. So if an employee is dealing with something, is dealing with, let's create the best cash out module, okay? That's his thing. That's his small company. He's the small CEO. He's gonna make sure that he has this ownership mindset and not like what we see here. So I don't want the paper pusher mindset. Hey, I told you to do this, you've done it because that's what you were told, without thinking, without critical thinking, without criticism, right? So I'm kind of educating the people to tell me, hey, this might not work because of this. And in the industry, I speak to a lot of people and they say, hey, my boss told me to do this. I thought it was wrong. I didn't want to argue, So we're kind of like opposite. Argue, attack my idea, be the devil's advocate.
Fantastic. What is the one decision you made as a CEO that changed the trajectory of the company completely?
So what we see a lot with B2B providers, they're doing a lot of these forks. They'll do this for this client and this for that client. And we've seen it with many companies like OpenBet is a leader. And they've done, you see this for William Hill, and now in Brazil, they do something else. And they're a great company. What we decided as an approach is to stop all these forks, right? To have, if you're a client and you're asking me for something, if I decide to do it, I need to have it match and harmonize across the whole B2B clients that I have. So for example, if you're a client and you said, hey, I want this feature that's gonna be like stories and promotion, and you're a Mexican operator and you want it to be in American odds and with American sports, that's fine. But I'm gonna do it that it's gonna work in Sweden, that it's gonna work in Brazil, that it's gonna work, in the future in the UK with horse racing, where we're gonna get a license as well. So we wanna make sure that everything we do it collectively as a part of the engine, and we're not doing anything that is custom tailored and forked out, just because it becomes very hard to maintain later on. And that essentially costs us in time, because then to develop something that's gonna align across every market, across every operator, probably takes about 10 times more to do. Also, you need to create it in a customizable way. So everything we do is customizable, personalizable. So, we create a feature. Oh, you want it to do like this. You want, for example, these stories, you want them to delay for 3 seconds, for 2 seconds. You want to have a bet inside of it. You want to have a certain story view for an influencer. You want to be able to export it to Instagram. Oh, you're in a market where, I don't know, where Snapchat is bigger, right? Whatever. So you want to export it. So we do it in a way that's going to kind of like match everyone. It's a little bit long and configurable. It's a little bit longer in development. It's a little bit more painful in the beginning, but then the price is worth it later on.
In the long run.
In the long run, yeah, because you have it fully customizable, market neutral, controlled by the back office, by the operator, and it reduces a lot of noise.
Here's an interesting question for you, Tom. Now I would like to jump into the emerging market side of things. If First could dominate only one new market next, right? Just one. Which one would you choose and why?
So, it's a good question. Probably Mexico. I think Mexico has a really, really good opportunity for us as a sports betting provider. I think the providers there are not where they need to be. I think it's a great market for us because there's big retail presence, so we can do a lot of omni-channel there. Right now, the omni-channel there is not where it needs to be. Sportsbook product there is not where it needs to be. It's a really Americanized market, you know, the way they bet on, you know, American football, baseball, what we call cross betting, when they create bet builders from the homepage without going into the event pages. So I think Mexico can scale a lot. Mobile penetration is getting bigger. It's a great market. People really love betting there. You know, they love sports there across markets. And I think for us, this can be an amazing market that we're looking into right now.
Actually, seeing as you've been so successful in Brazil, I was curious as how do you think Mexico's market would receive first?
Well, you can see now that the dominant players there are leading because of traditional history, because of, you know, a very strong presence, and they're not intimidated by the international operators because of this presence. So they've kind of neglected the sports betting product. Sports betting product, it's working, it's okay, but a lot of these operators can, I'm gonna be bold and say, double in revenue without an additional dollar in marketing, simply by improving their legacy product. It's a market full of legacy products. They've kind of like they've compromised a bit. They don't feel that they've compromised, but they've compromised a bit. They don't have the ambition and the aspiration to do better. We see it in many markets where they'll tell you, hey, I'm 95% casino, 5% sports. It's not supposed to be like this. You're 95% casino, 5% sports because of your product. The competitors are taking your sports players. So I think to come into Mexico with tier one operators with a great product, it's gonna shake the market, especially if you add into the mix omni-channel with all the retail presence and a lot of mobile first features. It's gonna be a killer.
We definitely really want to see this happen in the near future, Tom, and good luck with that. Now I'd like to jump into a bit of a more interesting part. Now it's about you, Tom. I've realized that you have an eye, a passion for art, right? So tell me a bit about your love for art. How did it start? And show us what you have here in the office.
So it's a funny story. So after we've done our after we've finished with SB Tech and we've done a very hefty exit, I was starting to invest normally, you know, with my bankers, with my investment advisor. So was doing a lot of real estate, was doing a lot of stock investing, angel startup investing, did all these type of investments. And then I got a call from my bank in Switzerland and said to me, listen, there's a thing called art as an asset. What does it mean, art as an asset? It says, hey, whatever, S&P goes every year, whatever, 8 to 10%. And if you would to buy a Banksy, it goes every year 15 to 20%. And you can just buy, you put whatever, you start, put 1, 5, 3 million euro in a place. We have these art advisors, they're gonna buy art for you. And it usually beats the market. You say, fine, you know, you wanna spread the risk. So I've been doing this, and the art is stored in the bank, in their safe vault, whatever. And you pay them like a few $1,000s a month just for storage and security. And you speak to this, you speak to them and tell you, hey, we wanna buy this, we wanna buy that. And then I'm a very curious person by nature. So after a few months of them purchasing art on my behalf and storing them, I tell them, listen, let me have a call with your art advisor. I want to understand what he's doing. I want to understand what he's buying. It's interesting for me. I want to learn about it. I'm a curious person. Before the call, of course, I do my homework. I learn about, you know, lighting, composition, different canvases, different ways, you know, different, you know, Renaissance, this, that. I do basic research, you know. Not an art expert, I did basic research. So I go on a call with this Swiss advisor from this big Swiss top 3 banks. And he starts telling me about the art that he's buying. He said, okay, this and this and this guy, he's young. They're young, they're not gonna die anytime soon, so it's a bad investment. This and this and this is gonna die soon. It's probably gonna go 10x or whatever. I'm like, really? That's all you're doing? You're not gonna tell me about size, composition, this? No, it's simply like this. And I saw the news about this one. I'm like, this is easy. I can do that. So I told them, okay, I want to manage my own art from now. I don't want your art advisor.
You went from being an enthusiast to the
yeah, I want to do my own management.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, where's this art lying? They say, yeah, it's here in the bank, and you're paying, I don't know, $5K a month for storage and security. And it's like piling dust in a storage in Switzerland. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really enjoying it. So I call the insurance that I have here, that I have in my house in Israel. I tell them, how much would it to insure the art if I bring it here and I can sit, drink espresso, enjoy it with my friends, you know? And they told me there's a thing called the all-in insurance, which means that if it breaks, if it this, whatever, it covers everything. $1,000 a month. Like, really? Yeah, really, $1,000 a month. So I'm gonna be saving money. I'm gonna put the art in the office, in my houses around the world. I'm gonna enjoy them, drink espresso, drink wine, come with my friends, enjoy the art, and still appreciate the value. Great.
And save money. No,
and save money. So I've done this, but I wanna be honest now. I'm a really bad art as an asset investor because I never sold and I don't think I'm going to sell. So
you love what you buy.
yeah, I love what I buy. I get emotionally attached to it because it's not in the basement right now. It's here in the office, and some of the stuff that I have are the golf sale of Banksy, and it's the Tiananmen Square famous picture, and he did kind of like his own interpretation on it. So I put them side by side. I have Space Venus of Dali, of Salvador Dali, original one. You can see the signature. The original melting clock of Dali, the one that...
Do you have that here in your office?
I have that here in the office.
That's
I'll show
massive,
it to you here.
crazy.
So we can take some videos afterwards and you can show it. So it's the original one. I got it during COVID where the galleries had to shut down. They were really, really, really struggling for cash. So I was able to get some good deals. I have, Richard Olinsky, like the ones you see in Dubai, and I have many more. It's really interesting. It's a talking piece when client comes in. We enjoy it. It makes our life
100%.
It makes our life a little bit better.
100%.
A little bit better.
I wouldn't leave it sitting in a Swiss bank, filling up with dust. I'd want to turn it into the conversation of the evening. I mean, the melting clock by Dali. That is massive.
Yeah,
that is massive.
It's a piece of history.
Good for you, Tom.
It's a piece of history.
So, Tom, I understand you have a massive passion for watches, and I see three particular ones in front of me, apart from the one that you're wearing right now, which is also very fine. But would you like to talk more about this?
Sure. The majority of my watches are not in Sofia. They're stored in a bank. But I have here, I brought out from the safe here, a few ones because you asked for me to show you. For me, the watches, the timepiece, is more than just, to be flashy or this. That's why, I'll try to avoid the gold or the diamond ones. But it's the story behind them. I really appreciate the art part. I really appreciate a good timepiece. And I like the good story. For me, it's the story. So I'll start from the one I'm wearing now. So this one is the Aquanaut Jumbo in white gold. For a long time, my dream watch was an Aquanaut, a Patek Aquanaut. And when the time came for me to have like a still small Aquanaut to put it on my hand, because I have a big wrist, it didn't really look good on me. It looked like I'm wearing my wife's watch, right? So then a few years ago, Patek Philippe came with the same Aquanaut, but a bigger one, because I don't like the chronos and this inside. So they made a bigger version. Instead of 39 point something or 40, they came with a 42.2, kind of matches my wrist more. It looks for people like the normal steel Aquanaut. The fact that it's the white gold jumbo, only I know because of the perspective with the wrist. So it's kind of like they call it the stealth wealth, because if you know, you know. So that's the bigger version, the white gold. That's kind of like the story behind this one. I have here a very interesting one. 1 second. This one, I don't really wear it a lot. This is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore. I got it as a gift whilst I was in SVTech, when we've launched with Skybet, which is a deal that really we worked a lot on to be the sportsbook provider for Skybet. So I got this from the company as a gift. Really, it brings a memory for me. So the story behind it is really, really important. Usually I wouldn't buy myself now a rose gold watch, big gold watch, but I'll still wear it a lot because it reminds me of this achievement. One more that I like here. Another one that I have here, this is the Richard Mille 1102 Felipe Massa. And this one, besides being kind of like one of the most iconic Richard Milles and probably the rarest production Richard Mille. So they have a lot of limited editions, but this is the rarest production one. There's a big story around this. So the reason this watch became famous is because the F1 driver, Felipe Massa, he was wearing this watch while driving the F1 car while he did the accident, and the whole car, you know, flipped over, fully on fire, and the watch scratchless. So he yes, of course, he got out of the car, he's okay, but the whole car is totaled, car is on fire, flipped over multiple times, everything is shattered. Felipe Massa was massively injured, he's okay now, but the watch came without a scratch. And it kind of, this resilience, you know, every time I look at this watch, it gives me kind of like the same power. I feel the same power of like going through hell and back, through fires, through accidents, through everything, and coming out strong without a scratch. So that's kind of like what this watch symbolizes to me. And then
I suppose you saved the best for last.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's one of the rarest ones. So this one is a skeleton Patek Philippe all white gold. Now Patek Philippe don't make too many skeletons, and by not too many, there's one more that they've made 40 years ago, and there's another one with a minute repeater that's like $3 million plus per watch if you can find it. So essentially it's the only skeleton Patek, full white gold, and it's rare. I look at it, for me, it's like a piece of art. It's 133 hours of hand engraving in white gold. And just there's a lot of effort into it. And it's very rare, and I appreciate, for me, it's a product. So I appreciate this product. It's a more dressy one. It's not for every day, but just, you know, I like the, kind of like, again, the story behind it, and the whole aspect of it. Maybe in our next interview, I'll bring a few other ones and I'll tell you their story as well.
Look, we're jumping into the unfiltered CEO to CEO discussion. Now, Tom, you and I, we are industry peers, right? We've been in this for some time, and I'd like your thoughts about something which I feel is very important. What is the toughest truth about iGaming that nobody says?
So, I think we're saying that we're innovative, but we're lacking innovation. I think we're the most non-innovative industry out there. If you compare to any other industry who develops online solutions with this amount of revenue, mobile solutions, apps, etc., we're the least innovative. We like to talk about innovation, but we don't really do it in practice.
Is it a regional thing though, or is it a global?
I think it's a global thing. The majority, especially with the B2B providers, we're just counting on the fact that migration is hard. We're a lot of the times politics drive more decisions than product, and it keeps us very traditional. We're the young people, right? We used to be always the young industry from when online gaming started, and now it became an industry of old traditional people who are reluctant to change. And no one really discussed this, that there's no real innovation. When we did the gamification, when we looked at loyalty system, we wanted to create the best loyalty system. And we saw all the loyalty systems in the iGaming industry, and they're all bad. They're all unsuccessful. We had to look at other industries like airlines, who does loyalty amazing with the miles program, etc. There's a lot of things that we're not doing as good. we're talking a lot. We have a lot of marketing budget, so we're saying that we're doing it good, but we're not honest enough with ourselves as far as innovations. And I think because everything is good and we don't want to, shake the ship, we're not doing enough bold moves. And we see that the ones that are doing bold moves are succeeding a lot. And now is the time for the people who are doing these bold moves to kind of shine.
Yeah. Tom, one last question about this. Looking forward, what excites you the most about the next 2 years?
So really, I want to give power back to the operators. I don't think that 5 to 10 operators should dominate the world when it comes to sportsbook. They don't do it in casino, they don't do it in live casino, they don't do it in whatever poker slot, except poker, yeah, it's a liquidity market, and you see that, kind of like the top ones control it, but in sports betting, there's no reason for 5 to 10 operators to dominate and crush every single piece of the world. And I want to give the power back to the operators by providing them a tier 1 sportsbook. I want to be the place to go, the number one sports betting provider with the number 1 product, giving top tier service from the biggest operator to the smallest one, really helping them with their pain. We've done our money already, so we're really here because this is what we like to do. I've started betting, with my dad when I was 13 years old. So I don't know anything else. I know betting, and I'm probably gonna do it until I die, and I'm gonna try to make the best out of it.
100%. Tom, I'm sure we're going to see so much more of you in the coming future. All the best for your success.
Amazing.
And thank you very much for your time, Tom.
Thank you.